Welcome to the Totally Honest Cooking Show. I'm Mark. Today we are doing a beer cheese queso, and it's easy, which is the best part. So we're going to start by getting our cheese grater out, putting it in the appropriate position over a bowl, and I got some sharp cheddar jack cheese that, through the miracle of cuts, I will grate. Okay, with a little bit of elbow grease, the cheese is done. I'm using cheddar jack. You can use any cheese you want. I'm going to go ahead and cut up half an onion. This is a small onion, and that's okay. You can use pretty much whatever size onion you want for this. Heating the pan to medium. This is a new enamel cast iron I got. You can use whatever you got on hand. It's not necessary to have anything fancy. I just wanted to use it, to be honest with you. And while the pan's coming up to temp, I'm gonna prep 3 cloves of garlic. My garlic's sprouting. Doesn't bother me unless it's raw application. But if it bothers you, you can core it. You can just get in there. Sometimes when you crush it, it just falls out anyway. Usually it's good enough for me just to rip it out at the base, and unless I am cooking something with raw garlic. Unless I'm prepping something with raw garlic. See, it's just right in there. And if you want to take it out, you can. I usually don't. Again, I tend to be lazy, and I don't tend to have a super refined palate. You know, unless stuff is prepped side by side, then I will, in fact, notice. Anyway, I'm going to drop these onions in. We're going to save the garlic for last, but I'm going to prep it anyway. We'll let the onion get a little bit of heat. Then we'll add our ground beef. In this case, I've got around 0.9 ounces of ground beef. And, it's translucent. I'm going to go ahead and add it. And let me go ahead and put my handle protector on for safety. And we're just going to cook up our ground beef. Now, at this point, I'm going to tell you, you could cut up peppers, chili peppers, or green bell peppers, or whatever you want. I recommend adding something with a little bit of heat, give you a little bit of flavor here. I'm going to use a can of diced tomatoes and green chilies because it's easy. But last week when I attempted to do this and failed, I used a couple jalapenos, a couple bell peppers that I had left over from that chili that I made. And that was that. I messed it up because I added too much sodium citrate. This makes cheese sauce amazingly easy. You add 1 teaspoon to a pound of cheese, and we'll get through that in a minute. I added a tablespoon, and it was not good. It was bad. I mean, it was edible. I could eat it, but I didn't want to, so it was bad. Anyway, back to the beef. Let's get ready. So, here's my thinking. You use a cup of liquid to a pound of cheese. You dissolve the sodium citrate in the liquid. Then you add the cheese and whatever else you're putting in the cheese, right? So, I'm going to start with half a cup of beer. We're going to make a beer cheese, right? Now, I tried using the full cup as beer last week. It wasn't bad. I don't want you to think it was bad, because it wasn't. The beer was fine. But the problem with it was that it turned the cheese brown, which was not appetizing. So I'm going to try adding half a cup of milk to that. See if we can even it out. With the idea being that milk and dairy are friends, right? Right. Makes total sense. Totally. Anyway, this is starting to get toward done. It's not done yet, but I'm going to start seasoning. So I've got some Ancho Chili powder left over from, again, the chili. If you don't want to pay for the Ancho Chili powder, you can use any chili powder you want, up to and including the regular chili powder that they sell at the store, which is a mixture. Whoops, that's a whoopsie doodle. Let's add just a little more. You probably shouldn't measure directly over the steam like I'm doing, because it cakes and then the water gets into the seasoning. To that, we're going to add a teaspoon of cumin. So we got about a teaspoon of Ancho Chili powder and a teaspoon of cumin. If I were doing tacos, I'd probably add a few more things to this and call it a day. Maybe some onion powder, maybe some garlic powder. But I don't want to over season because I'm putting a lot of stuff in the chili. I mean, I don't want to over season because I'm putting a lot of stuff in the queso. Jerkins, cut that. But we're going to rub it around a little bit, let the fat adhere, let it start getting good. Get my can ready. Upcoming episodes should include macaroni and cheese baked. And I'm thinking about doing an episode on seasoning pans. I got a great new carbon steel pan that I want to season. And if I'm doing that anyway, I might do the rim of this pan. You don't really need to season the rims of the enameled pans unless you really plan on torturing them with water or something like that. If you take good care of them, you don't need to season the rim. That's unnecessary. But if I'm going to do it anyway, hey, why not? Okay, so I'm going to kill the heat on this. I'm going to deglaze with a little glug of this beer. And we'll leave it on low. Let some of these flavors just heat a little more. Ah, I didn't add the garlic. That's why I needed to stop. Hold on, let me clean my knob off. Gotta stop and clean my knob off. It's important, y'all. I hope nobody was in the hallway for that. Awkward. Throw our garlic in. Now I'm gonna throw my liquid in my saucepan. Is that even small enough to be a saucepan? Probably not. Starting over medium heat with my beer milk mixture. And I'm going to go ahead and add in a teaspoon of sodium citrate. Now, sodium citrate, in case I didn't say it already, even though I thought I did, but I don't think I did. Sodium citrate is a melting salt. And what that means is that it helps the fats in the cheese stay apart, because cheese wants to stay together. Things like to stay together. So cheeses that aren't soft don't like to melt. This kind of breaks down the connections in the fat that makes the cheese want to stay together. You're going to want to stir this around. I probably should have made a well for the garlic to let it simmer, but it's okay that I didn't. Now, I've never done this before with a canned product, but this is a good time saver for somebody that's into sports and wants to watch the game. I'm not particularly. This includes tomatoes, water, chopped green chili pepper, and then a little bit of salt, calcium chloride, preservatives. I'm just going to dump it in the liquid. Stir it around. That way, once I start adding this stuff and it starts breaking down, we're good to go. Going to give this another little glug of beer. Now I'm going to start adding my cheese. And actually, since we're doing the cheese, let's get Bernie out of there. If we're gonna do cheese, I'm gonna use my silicone spatula. That just makes sense to me. No need to get Bernie coated in cheese. And we're just going to slowly add the cheese as it makes room for us. Notice that it breaks down pretty quickly. You may not have to stir this as much as I am, but I don't want to take too many chances. Let's take this bowl over so we don't lose this. So all the cheese is in there. It's breaking down pretty quickly. I don't think we need to add any more citrate. I think we just need to let time do its job. Now we're adding the beef in. Go ahead and give it a stir. Stir in the beef. This is still not quite melted. We might have to add a little more citrate. I'm going to turn the heat up and bring it to a simmer and see if that helps thicken it up. It might be that with the water from the can of chilies that we added too much liquid. Okay, so the packaging says or more. I'm going to add about half a teaspoon. See if that helps get done what I want. Again, don't go nuts with this. I overdid it by like 4 times the recommended dose last week, and I used a tablespoon, and it was sour. We don't want sour queso. But I do think that this layer of liquid on the top is part of our problem. So we'll see. I'm going to simmer this down a little bit, and then I will be back. As it bubbles away, I think that I have figured out that it is a water problem. You'll notice that it does appear to be slightly thicker in places than it was before, and you can see a clear line where the liquid is a little lighter. So I'm just trying to boil that off, and then I should have queso. I'll be back when that is done. If you have this problem and it persists, and you have some cornstarch lying around, just toss in a teaspoon. We might even need to add another one. We'll see. It's probably enough fun with cornstarch. There we go. Note that it is much tighter than it was. We're going to go ahead and serve. Now, my recommendation is to go in kind of low if you can, because it does splatter. If you had some cilantro, put that over the top of it. That would look really good. As usual, I did not plan well, so I do not. Now, again, you can use any cheese you want. I recommend cheddar and jack, just because, especially if you're doing the beer. If you're not doing the beer, use whatever you want. But I recommend that yellow cheddar to help cancel out the beer if you're using the beer. Because otherwise, if you just use white cheese, it turns this brown color. I'll have Jerkins insert a photo. It's not ideal. So here is my easy queso sauce. We might do an advanced queso sauce later. Oh yeah, this is good. Look at that. That is very good. Okay. You know the drill. Like, subscribe, click the little bell. I'll see you next Wednesday. But me and this queso dip are going to go get to know each other. Bye.